Hello and welcome to What the Hack, the show that is dedicated to taking all aspects of cybersecurity and breaking them down into easy to understand bites. My name is Sean, a cybersecurity professional working in the Aberdeen, Scotland area. This week I am joined by Kirsty, Steele and Declan Doyle from the Scottish Business Resilience Centre, or SBRC. Kirsty joined the SBRC in July 2020 from her previous role in the Scottish Government's Cyber Resilience Unit. She continues to support Scottish organisations to build cyber resilience through a range of capacity building and engagement activities. Declan is Head of Ethical Hacking at the Scottish Business Resilience Centre. He has been working for the SBRC for 3 years, firstly as an ethical hacking student and now as head of the programme. He is also the lead facilitator for the Exercise in a Box project, delivering sessions to several organisations each week. And it is today that we will be discussing the Exercise in a Box project. We hope you enjoy.
Fantastic, guys. Thank you again for agreeing to join in on the conversation. Now, today is a pretty interesting episode, really. We're going to be talking about something called an exercise in a box, amongst other things, of course. So, guys, I'm going to start with yourself, Kirsty, and your job title is Cyber Resilience Community Lead.
Yes, that's correct. That's it.
Excellent. Do you want to tell me what that means?
Yeah, it's fancy. Me helping organisations use technology securely, basically. So I do a lot of engagement activities and educational things to help share what the latest sort of trending threats are and help organisations put in place measures against them, really.
Excellent. So it's sort of an evolving discipline, really. I mean, if you're saying the current trends and threats and things like that, that's got to be shifting almost on a daily basis, surely.
Absolutely, especially over the last number of months as well. Everything seems to, there's always a new scam that comes in. There's a different technique used in fake emails that are getting sent to people. So it's just trying to spread as much information about that as possible to make people know to look out for that specific one that's maybe the top one that's been that week, for example.
Yeah, but it's a tiring job for you, I can well imagine. And also we've got Declan, you are Head of Ethical Hacking, is that right?
I am, yes.
So for those that are listening to this show, can you explain what ethical hacking actually is? Because I'm pretty sure we all know what the two words mean separately.
Yeah, it's a funny one. When Mum tells people what I do, she always says computer police, but it's not quite that, but it's a good try. Ethical hacking is kind of, basically if you imagine all the computer systems and all sorts that are out and about these days, they need to be kept secure. Obviously, it's important to keep everything safe and secure. And the best way to make sure that they're secure is just to test it. And so that's effectively what an ethical hacker does, is they hack the same way that any sort of criminal or bad guy out there would do, except we do it with permission. So we're asked to go and, can you try and hack into our systems? And then we do that and then say, here's how we did it. Here's what you need to go fix. So that's effectively what ethical hacking is.
Excellent. Now, the question that kind of jumps straight off the page to me from that side of things is you effectively get hired from a company saying, can you hack into our system and then show us how you did it so we can fix it? Do you then get asked to try it again?
You can, yeah. So it kind of depends on the setup a company has. You might find that a company, so for SBRC, we tend to do a kind of what we call a moment in time ethical hack, where we just hack an organization at their request at a given time and see what we find. Other organizations, particularly the big ones, big blue chip companies, banks, all that, will probably have dedicated teams who round the clock have to hack to see what they can do. And some organizations even have their kind of hacking team and then their defending team fight against each other. So the hackers are constantly trying to break in, and then the defending team are constantly trying to keep them out, just as a kind of ongoing exercise. So there's a lot of different things.
Maybe it's just me, but that sounds incredible fun.
That's the fun job. That's from what I hear. Yeah.
Doesn't even sound like a job, that part, attacking the defense team, and that doesn't even sound like a job. That sounds just great fun. That's something you would do at the weekend. So what we'll do, I'll address something at the moment that people are probably aware of, is we're recording this kind of remotely from a video conference software. We'll apologise if the connection goes a little bit. We'll try our best not to make that happen. And also, if there's background noise, we apologise, but it's all part of the fun, really. I do have a dog, so I'm really hoping he remains quiet. And I know, Declan, you've got some work going on potentially at the house, so
they said they might show up, so we'll see.
Not a problem. And I'm sure we've all got Amazon accounts and things like that, so the doorbell might go at some point. But that's besides the point. Really interested to talk to you guys. So we've got a couple of questions that we want to run through. Basically, we're just going to jump straight in. The title of the subject of the episode today is the exercise in a box. Followed on by a couple of other things, but actually another thing, we'll apologize for talking over each other because we are remotely, so we don't know how we're going to manage this, but I'm sure we're all adults here, so we'll do our best. Can we explain what exercise in a box actually means?
Yes, so exercise in a box is a free tool that's been created by the National Cyber Security Centre. So for anyone that doesn't know who the National Cyber Security Centre are, they are the UK's authoritative source for all things cyber. So they're part of GCHQ, and they this sort of tool that organisations can use to help test their organisation's response to a cyber attack and cyber incidents. So essentially, you would be exercising the different areas within your networks and processes to see how well prepared you are should an incident happen. That's basically what exercise in a box is.
Right. Okay. So is it sort of like just an overview, or is it slightly in depth? And how far into this do we need to get?
So it's a discussion-based activity. So there's two different sides to exercise in the box. The one that we tend to focus on is the discussion side one. So there's about a handful of topics that you can choose from to work through, and what you get is a set of questions that will get asked to your organisation through different injects. So there's usually like 3 different main kind of pushes in the exercise that you have to kind of focus on an area and discuss it. So the questions can be really simple of, what have you got in place for this? Who would you contact in this situation? Have you got training in place? And things that you can generally have a good discussion with in your team to sort of understand how well placed you are to kind of manage that situation in some ways.
Okay. So I guess the follow-up questions to these things is there a limit to who can have it? I mean, who are we aiming this product at exactly?
We tend to say that this tool is for absolutely everyone, because whilst there is obviously some cyber speak in it, it's the kind of the very basics, and it's stuff that we would hope that most people are at least aware of, or you'll say it, the term phishing, and they'll be, I've heard of that. So that's kind of like what the tool is based around, is the kind of rudimentary knowledge that everyone hopefully should know, and then getting everyone in and doing it kind of expands the knowledge for those that have maybe not got as much, and for the kind of more knowledgeable and cyber aware people, it kind of solidifies their standard. And the best part about it is because it's aimed at everyone can get something out of it. So whether it be someone that's not really sure where their organization is at in terms of cybersecurity and what they're doing, they can then find out or know the questions to ask, whether that be going to their IT service provider or just their internal IT team to ask the right questions. They can then find out where they're at in terms of cybersecurity, or the kind of cyber teams and the IT folks can actually realize, here's what we're doing well, and here's where we're on the right track. We had a team the other day who were very technically aware and very on the ball, and so we were a wee bit concerned taking them through exercise in the box, thinking they weren't going to get a lot out of it. But they actually said to us afterwards, it was really good because we hadn't sat down and had a discussion as a team about this, because there was network security and then the kind of general admin and all sorts of the different aspects of the IT team. But they sat down and were like, we're actually all on the same page. We all actually know what the general direction we to head in. So even they benefited from it. So it was good, and we think it's a great tool for everyone.
What I should say there is that the actual tool itself is free, so organisations can register on the website and go through it. But what we're doing at SBRC is we've been given we won a open competition tender document to deliver and facilitate exercise in a box sessions to up to 250 organisations across Scotland. So we're basically talking organisations through the exercise. So for those that have never dealt with any cyber problems or issues or discussed it before, this is a really good method to kind of get a good understanding for it. And as Declan says, the kind of best results have been seen when there's been people from not just the same department, but a representation from across all different areas within teams. So people from IT, HR, marketing, the IT team, the board possibly, and that gives a really good within the exercise.
So would you say that trying to grasp who you would aim for, really? I mean, we're talking about SMEs, we're talking larger organizations. Would one-man band company be suitable for this kind of thing?
So we have had some people come along just by themselves from their organization, just to kind of solo represent, or we've had really, really small, kind of micro businessy, kind of to use some jargon. So they've come along.
Third sector too, as well.
We've had the third sector as well, yeah, and the public sector. We've had, pretty much anything you can think of. We've had, and there is a bit for everyone. So whilst like a kind of sole trader or a very small business might not get the same benefits that say a regular team would, like a medium business or whatever, they still get some things because they can identify even the right path to go down, maybe not necessarily bounce ideas off their teammates and so forth, but they can at least start to get the wheels turning on in terms of, what do we need to do, what do we need to work on.
Because they'll have different needs, won't they? A one-man band to a team with 200 people in it, completely different.
And it's not aimed at, like, it's not here's one for a medium business, here's an exercise for a small business. It's one that can kind of then, it's one size fits all. So you do need to take a wee bit of kind of artistic license when you're reading the kind of questions and discussion points, but you can think of it is relevant to you. And so you can make it work for your organization.
That's pretty handy to know, actually. But I suppose the one thing that, for some reason, still happens today, and I suspect it's probably going to happen for quite a while, because before it was IT companies, general managed IT companies. Now it's the cyber security aspect of it. Companies generally don't act unless they need to, unless something's went wrong before. I know, working from IT companies previously, is they don't phone you unless something's wrong. They always phone you in a panic or anger or something like that. But cybersecurity is even more niche than that, because a lot of people still don't fully understand what that entails. So I guess the question would be kind of around the idea of how can you encourage people to take the action now before something goes wrong?
Yep. I mean, absolutely, you're right there. Nobody seems to be taking cyber as like a thing that it should be their business, but actually it is up to them. And the sort of method that we sort of always try and say that, cyber isn't solely part of like the IT team or somebody. It's actually throughout the whole organization, from somebody that's, in the shop counter to, yes, the head of management in a certain area. Cyber security risk needs to be managed the exact same way as any other sort of business risk. So when people are kind of looking at their health and safety within their organization, their fire safety, and they do the drills to make sure that that's working, it should be the exact same for the cyber side of things. Anything that's connected to the internet needs to be sort of tested and managed, because it will help them mitigate a lot of the issues that could potentially happen in the future for cyber attacks, if they can recognize what the parts there are. And I would say one of the biggest parts of any cybersecurity thing, attacks, is always the people. So it's actually the human element of cybersecurity that's the biggest both risk and advantage. So it's got good and bad points. If you've got a really good, well-trained cybersecurity staff within your organization that are able to spot phishing attacks, or look to see if somebody suspicious has come into the building when we're back in that working in an office environment, those are your greatest assets within your organization. So it should be on everybody's agenda and not just left to the IT department to solve any issues.
And I think an important part.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
Yeah, an important thing that Kirsty mentioned there is that because it's for everyone, it's about trying to get that message across, and the way, particularly when it comes to ethical hacking and finding the vulnerabilities and cyber kind of weaknesses within an organization, it's just about translating it to risk. Because at the end of the day, that's what a business owner is going to look at and want to pay attention to, is how much of a risk is this to our organization. And when we start, because particularly I think cyber people are quite bad for saying this is, a big cyber vulnerability, or this is, something that affects cyber, when really we should be speaking their language rather than trying to get other people to speak our language. So if we start saying this is a risk, this is quite a high risk with a fix that you'll need to invest some training in or some time in, but you can mitigate that. Start speaking the risk language, all of a sudden you see the kind of board members and things raise their eyebrow and go, oh right, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you start threatening their business, they will start to pay attention a little bit. That's just the nature of it, really. So one question I have for it, and it's based off of what you had just said there, Kirsty, about the human element. Is the exercise in a box? I know it's aimed at companies of all sizes, but is there anything that personally people can take away for potentially their home life? So I'll give you a bit of background, really. My house, for example, I would consider my house to be a smart home. There's just about everything you can think of connected to the internet. I mean, I use the little Google Home thing to turn on my lights and turn on my TV and the heating and the security system, everything basically. But obviously, the more things you've got connected to the internet, the bigger a risk that poses. So the exercise in the box, does it have elements of it that people can take and adapt to their home life?
Definitely. There's the scenario that we actually work through in our when we facilitate the sessions is the working from home scenario. So it's ideal for those that where we are in this situation just now. And although some of the exercises are aimed at, from a business point of view, you could absolutely turn that round and look at it from your own personal side of things. The advice that you get at the end and throughout it, and the discussions that you have within your team will throw up ideas that maybe you haven't thought about before from your own personal safety aspect of, like, what could you kind of do to improve that situation. And I'm sure at the end of each session it signposts you to guidance that the National Cybersecurity Centre and SBRC are able to provide to help protect you from your own personal point of view as well. But yeah, I would say so. Declan, have you got anything to add to that one?
I think that's a really good thing about cyber, is that the advice that you can give to the biggest businesses out there, Apple, Google, Amazon, whatever, can also be translated to yourself, you at home. Because it is often the same stuff. It's usually just a bit of a larger scale, but we tell big organizations you need to make sure that your staff are aware of phishing and clicking links and falling for online scams and stuff. That's the same just in your personal life, rather than looking at an invoice or something that looks a bit dodgy. You're looking at an online deal for a new TV or something like that. So the skills are very much transferable, and I think that's what Exercise in the Box highlights, is that we'll tell organizations, or the organizations will find out that they need to do this and this, but then they might realize, but if we are encouraging our staff to do this in their home life as well, it can also, you can bring that resilience into work as well.
Yeah, there has been a conflict. My parents, for example, are they're not the most tech savvy. I mean, my dad certainly is, but in a different. He's more IT rather than cyber, which completely different. My mum, however, not so much at all, really. And they kind of grasp with that concept of, but my work is taking care of it all. I don't need to know these things. That was a direct quote for what she said. You do need to know these things, Mum, because you're going to be the problem when you go back to the office. You're going to be the one that clicks on that link, and the entire company is held ransom to something. So you do actually need to pay attention to these things, even though you do have an IT department, and it will affect your home life as well with the more things that keep coming into your life that's smart, I guess, and connected to the internet. I feel a bit responsible for that personally, though, because I keep buying them the smart tools. So it's my fault, if anything. So never mind.
You've just got to manage the risk, though, haven't you? Because that's the thing. Like, I've got a lot of connected devices too, and I think sometimes people can be put off without embracing technology, but I'm one that will encourage people to use it. But it's just that case of, well, understanding how is that a risk and is that managed, and do I really need to have that on all the time? Maybe it could just be something quite simple that they could just adjust that could help them protect them that little bit more. But yeah, you definitely don't want to discourage anybody from using all these new tools, and because they're all amazing and great, but it's just making sure that you've got a good password on it, for example, or something that's easy to kind of change that will make such a big difference.
And it's an interesting point as well, because when you think about particularly the kind of older generations, and I actually remember one of my lecturers at university calls them non-digital natives, because they're people that have grown up without the digital world, unlike myself and you guys, whereas they've not grown up with that, and then had to kind of adapt. And so they're a bit, it's strange because they view it as a different to the rest of life. So something like Kirsty mentioned there, like getting some IoT thing in your home, and you might be worried about the security of it, when usually it comes down to it, if it's a cheap product, it won't have that good security on it, whereas if it's a bit more expensive, it probably has had that investment put into it. You wouldn't go to like an electrician or a joiner and they're quoting you like 20 quid to rewire your house. You would know that that's going to be a dodgy job.
Yeah.
So it's about translating that kind of real world experience of, if you get a tradesman in and they're really, really cheap, they're probably not going to be the best. So why is it when you look at this or this smart speaker that's only or that's pennies compared to the competition, why are you not realizing that could potentially have some kind of dodgy work going on in the background? So it's about taking what they know and making it applicable to the digital world.
Oh, absolutely. I've tried to relay that message exactly to my parents and some friends even, and we're talking about people that have grown up in the digital world as well. So but they just don't take an interest in, and they don't see the importance we're trying to portray here. So let's get back to the exercise in the box, for example. Play the scenario. You've taken me through the exercise in the box, and we've come to the end of the session. What happens after that? What happens next? Are we kind of left to our own devices? Is there communication further, or
so
what would you say?
At the end of every session, we offer a follow-up session. So as part of the project, all paid for still, so completely free for an organisation. They basically can book this little hour follow-up session, and what we do is we take them through the exercise that they've ran. They get their notes together, and then they can put it onto the actual National Cybersecurity Centre's tool for exercise in the box. Because unfortunately we can't kind of do that live because of the way they've got it set up. So when we run them through a session, we ask people to take notes, and then we fill it in later at these sessions, and then we demonstrate the rest of exercise in the box. I think there's 12 scenarios now, and we only show one, so you've got a whole world of cyber that you can explore. So we show you how to do that, and then once you've put in the notes and stuff, you get a nice report. It's branded from the National Cybersecurity Centre, so it does look quite official. And then you've got a list of, here's what we discussed, here's what we can work on, here's where we're not so confident on, here's what we're good at, here's what we're pretty confident at. And so it's a good kind of, here's a map of where your cyber standing is. You know where your strengths are, you know where your weaknesses are, and you know what to work on. And then that kind of we use as a basis for organizations now know what to ask and now know who to go to. So we also signpost to the National Cybersecurity Centre website and ourselves at SBRC. But it means that because an organisation knows what they need to work on, they can know what resources to access. And the NCSC has a huge amount of resources out there, from, as we were talking earlier, from everything from the individual all the way up to the biggest organisations there are, and the public sector and third sector organisations. So just about any situation you find yourself in after coming out of exercise in the box, there is a resource then that you can go and look up and try and turn those weaknesses into strengths.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty important message to kind of get across. There's no one that's 100% safe, but I have heard the term virtually unhackable, and I quite like it. Okay. I suppose the term refers to the fact that hackers are generally quite lazy people, and they'll go after the easiest targets. So we're making ourselves absolutely not the easiest target out there, basically saying that if someone wants to hack you, they're going to have to purposely go after you rather than pick off the lowest hanging fruit, if you like. So would you say that the NCSC is probably the best place to go for advice on this kind of thing, or would they go directly to you, or where would they go?
I would be saying the National Cybersecurity Centre, because they are the UK's authoritative source for it. So they've got people working round the clock to create even, excuse me, the best sort of guidance available that for everyone. And the way that they've created the guidance is really easy for people to kind of understand. So they're not putting it in sort of cyber terms and strange wording that you wouldn't know. They've really taken their time to make it easily digestible for just the individual, reading it. And they've got some great PDFs that you can just print off and keep as a handy guide to help you within different situations. But you're totally right there when you were saying that, if you've got some basic cyber steps into place, then you're making it a lot more difficult for the attacker to come and get you. Just like you would in a sort of traditional way, when people are protecting their home properties. If you've got like a security camera, a wall up, a big angry dog at your door, but then the house down the street's got like open windows and it's all quite dark, then the burglar's going to go there because it's an easier target. And it's the same with people's cybersecurity. If you've got good passwords on your accounts, if you've got two-factor authentication switched on, I know I'm saying all these fancy terms, but they're all available on the NCSC website. But they they really will make such a difference. Even like the most simplest basic cybersecurity steps will help protect you, and that little bit of effort for them is time they're going to go else. And a lot of people, especially a lot of attacks that have happened over the years, a lot of organizations have not been necessarily a target, but they've been collateral damage because they haven't done something really basic like updating their systems, or like there's been an update available, and then that's where they've just been a victim within, but they weren't necessarily the target in that. And I think that's something that we should all be kind of aware of, that you could be a target, but you might also just be collateral damage, so you have to prepare that in that case as well.
Yes, it's something that comes up a lot. People say or ask me, like, do you not think hackers are trying to go for a challenging thing, or do you not think they want to make a big statement? And they absolutely do, but if you think about it, hackers still need to pay the rent, still need to pay the bills. So whilst they're got this overarching goal of let's take down the NHS or overthrow the government or whatever, they're going to go for the Joe's kilt shop down the road to get the cash to pay their bills. So if you think that a hacker's not going to go for me, you're the exact person that hacker will go for.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you brought up the NHS there. I mean, I think we all remember what happened a few years back with the WannaCry attack. Not exactly an easy organization to get a hold of, and to kind of break into and hold them to ransom, but it seemed to happen very, very quickly, and it had a devastating effect on it. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really, in terms of businesses that have been held to ransom. And that, I mean, there's thousands, if not millions, of businesses that have been a victim, really. So I guess it's how do we combat that? I mean, the problem, I think, with cybersecurity, and this is the general nature of it, is it's very reactive. It can't get ahead of it. Which is a shame, really, if you think about it. But every time that you guys do your job and protect businesses, a new attack that you have no knowledge of comes up, and then you have to learn about that, and then you've got to protect against that. So it's a cat and mouse game, I guess, which is your biggest issue, which I suppose is why the ethical hacking is quite a powerful tool.
Well, that's where what Kirsty says comes into play. Is there are always going to be these, next level super genius hacks that come out that the whole world goes, oh my god, what are we going to do? And there's always going to be that, and there's always going to be clever people working towards trying to combat them. Mm-hmm. But there's also always going to be the hacks that can be stopped from doing the very basics, the very basic cyber stuff, kind of cyber hygiene almost, we call it. And if you do that, then you put yourself in a much better position, because then when the big hack does come out, it's maybe not going to affect you. It'll only maybe affect the big blue chip companies, because those were the initial targets. Mm-hmm. No kind of nation state hacker or super organized crime is going to go for your local your local chippy down the road. That's the thing, is that when they're affected, it is, as Kirsty said, often because of the kind of either collateral from big attacks, or they've just maybe been the low-hanging fruit that a hacker wants to quickly make a few pounds from.
And I think what I'd like to emphasize here as well is, we know that that this is going to happen to people, and it's not going to be a case of that's it, you're left on your own. We've recognised that this is an issue, and SBRC have now launched a new incident response helpline for any organisation that gets hit by a cyber attack, whether it was ransomware, whether it was a phishing thing, whether they just need support or advice. We've got a new cyber incident response manager that you can phone and get good advice and help you get through that incident. So we really want to make sure that organisations are supported through this, because we understand that this is not going to be easy, and that they've got something that they need to do. So this free helpline is available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, that people can call, that will really help them get back on their feet and running again. And we've worked with a lot of cyber incident companies that we can pair people with as well, to help them get back to what they do best in their business, really.
Mm-hmm. And it's completely free, we should add.
Yes, it's completely free.
It's referred to within SBRC as kind of the A&E, the NHS A&E. You show up, and then you'll get stitched up, and then when you need to be referred to a specialist, that's when we'll then take you and show you, here's the organisations around Scotland that can help with the more advanced stuff. But we're here to stop the bleeding, if you want to keep using that metaphor.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sounds pretty drastic, though, the stop the bleeding metaphor, but it's 100% accurate, really. I mean, I think the fact that it's free will appeal to a lot of companies that are currently struggling with their budget and things like that, due to the current situation that's going on. But let me ask you this: what is the first step? Like, how do we get onto it? How would a company sign up for this? And also, how long does it take?
For Exercise in a Box?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they go onto the SBRC website, if they just do a search for Exercise in a Box, you will find the best links there. And we've got different Eventbrite links that you can sign up for, different workshops. So Declan can get me if I'm wrong, but they do 2 sessions a week.
Just about
2 a week. Poor Declan, he's having to go out there and do all these sessions every week. Yes, so there's lots of different organisations that can get involved. So what we do is we host up to 7 organisations per session, and we ask for around 5 people per organisation to be part of that one. So only one person from your organisation needs to...
That's my door.
We knew it was going to happen.
We knew it was going to happen, yeah. So we only need one person for an organisation to sign up via the link. And then what we'll do is we'll send them the video conferencing link and sign up everybody else in their organisation to be part of that session. So they're happening throughout the different months. So we've got December, January, February, there'll be sessions throughout it. So just take a look and see on the Eventbrite which date kind of best suits the organisation and get signed up, and more info will be getting sent. We do have a exercise in a box email address as well. So if anybody's got any questions or queries, we can help answer that too.
Excellent. We'll put a link to all that, the website and the email address into the kind of show notes. Excellent. All right. Well, I think that's pretty much summing it up, really. One thing that we do want to do is provide some information, provide some advice, really, from the experts themselves. So I don't know who I'll start with. Kirsty, I'll start with you. Have you got just one piece of advice that someone can go away today and take action, I guess?
Yeah, this is my favourite question in everything that I always get. And I have basically the same answer every time.
Excellent.
And it's really simple. Make sure that you always install the latest software and application updates on all your devices. That's it. So do your updates is my advice.
Can you tell us why?
Yeah, so anytime you get that sort of annoying notification you need to install this an hour, do it, because that is the most easiest thing that you can do. It's basically known vulnerabilities within your software that is being updated and fixed. So the sooner you install those updates, the quicker you are protected against those things. And doing something, you spoke about the NHS earlier. If they'd have updated their systems, that wouldn't have been the case with the ransomware attack. So that just shows you the importance of making sure that your systems and your software is up to date. And it's as simple as doing that quick install. But it's basically combating any known vulnerabilities that there are within that software. They are getting fixed, essentially.
Well, I think that, yeah, it's incredibly important. I mean, the thing that strikes me about that is sometimes you don't even have to take action, really. I mean, sometimes if you set it right, it can do itself.
That's right. Automatic updates, you can get it switched on, and you don't even need to worry about it. It'll do it during your sleep at night, and you've got it all installed. It's simple, but one of the most effective things that anybody can do. So go and check your devices now and see if any of them need an update, and do the updates. That's my advice.
We'll keep a note of that, and we will certainly write it down into the captions, really. How about yourself, Declan?
We joked at the start saying that if you were going to ask us for one piece of advice, Kirsty and I would say the same thing, and she was right. But I did prepare a backup. But that should also just show you how important these updates are, as both of us are kind of on the same page without even talking about it beforehand. But what I would say to people is, usually after talking about cyber, people are can be quite scared or panicked. And what I would say is, no matter what you hear in terms of cyber or where you think you are, is to not panic, because by listening to this podcast, by going to an exercise in the box session, by even checking the NCSC website for a quick 5 minutes, you are taking a step that a lot of other people aren't, and so you are immediately in a better position than a lot of other organizations. And so whilst you might think we've got so much to do, you're already in a better position than you were before checking out these resources. So never view cyber as something scary and something that you're never going to get a grasp on, because it is very easy to just take that first step, and so many people are now doing that. So well done.
So effectively, we're just every action counts. It's funny because the term cyber is quite an aggressive term. People generally do fear away from it. They try to bury their head in the sand, or they just think that I've got no expertise in that, so I won't bother. There's no point. If I get hacked, I get hacked. That was one that I heard. That was quite interesting. What a ridiculous attitude to have. But
well, we're very guilty in cyber for making things all doom and gloom, and you need to do this and you need to do that, and if you don't do this, this will happen. But it's about showing the kind of positive message, and just by thinking about cyber, you're already better at it.
I think that's a positive message to take out of it, really. I mean, I get a phone call from a friend every time that they can't log into their computer, and I think, is the caps lock on? But she immediately went to, oh, someone's changed my password, someone's hacked my computer. No, there's very simple things you can do prior to that. So it's not all doom and gloom as you just said there. So we need to pay attention. I think we're all guilty of making it something that and specifically IT companies, I would say, is have this problem now, but I've noticed that IT companies tend to almost mask the simplicity that it is, because they feel they want still to be needed. It's really easy to fix, but you need us to do it, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where in reality, a lot of it can be done by yourself. So that's a positive message overall. Install the updates and take action, kind of the simplest of actions, just take it. Head over to the SBRC's website, the NCSC website, even our own website. You'll find some information that's pretty easy to grasp, yeah?
Absolutely.
Fantastic, guys. That pretty much rounds out the episode for it. So again, I want to thank you for your time and the expertise coming into this. I believe the connection did drop once or twice and the doorbell went, but other than that, we're all good.
I feel like we should have a bingo card here.
That might be something that we introduce
in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, a little bingo card of what happens. But I guess it's the pros and cons of working from home at the minute. I mean, we're all doing it. I guess we're just grateful to still be in work at the minute. So hopefully that drowns out sooner rather than later, but who knows. Yeah, guys, I want to thank you for your time. And if the people like the episode, please to like and subscribe. Is probably the best way to share the information out there, and you might who knows, we might follow up with another episode later down the line to see what's changed.
We'd love to.
We could probably do it tomorrow and something have changed, so we'll do it in a little while. But again, thanks for your time, guys, and we can sign off there, and for people listening, we can see you in the next episode. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
That is all we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a like and subscribe to hear more from experts around the globe. And head over to opensourceguardian.com for more great content, all targeting the world of cybersecurity. Until next time, remember, it shouldn't be complicated, so we don't make it so.